Lawyers Association. Stephen Dublé is here from their organization, and we're co-hosting with the Texas Democratic TDLA, Texas Democratic Lawyers Association as well. So we're expecting a strong crowd tonight. We have with us Harold Mullins as well, who is helping us tonight from HCDLA. So thank you, Harold, for your assistance. And our wonderful candidates here tonight for the statewide judiciary races, who I will list in just a second. Let me just do a few quick new business items, and then we can switch over to Stephen here, who's going to have a couple of announcements, and then we can move to the candidates. So I wanted to tell all our members here tonight that we have some good news. So the mailer that we approved last month, turns out it was a little less expensive. And so we were able to expand our target from 18,600 households to 21,500 households. And we got an additional second mailer. There was a small error on the first one, so we got free of charge from the printer a second additional mailer for Tanisha Hudspeth herself, the county clerk candidate. So we were proud to get that done. And we have as well, if you go to mobilize.us, there are many, put in your zip code. There are many events going on, including some we are co-hosting. We have one coming up with Michael Moore this Saturday. And I think we have an additional one with Ann Johnson coming up. One other thing I want to mention here is that, so the last meeting in our GOTV, we had approved doing a chase card piece as well for those who had not yet voted by the end of the month. However, given the, as we were just discussing before we came on, the record kind of early turnout, we talked with our graphic designer and the firm doing that, and we just don't feel that that's going to be helpful. It's just so many are going to vote early. There will be very few to send a chase card to. It would just take a lot of time and printing resources. So what our board has agreed to do, and I'm sure the members here won't object, is we're just going to shift $3,000 of that funding that was going to the chase card into digital. So we will be doing extensive digital advertising to vote all the way down the ballot. We will be promoting certain candidates. I'd like to also promote our judicial candidates in a digital piece. So it's a good thing they're all here tonight in a digital piece as well. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to shift some of that funding that was going to go to a push card, go to chase card, into a digital operation that'll be much more extensive than what we talked about before. So that'll be that. And we have with us as well at about 7:45 p.m. tonight, MJ Hegar is going to join us for about 10 minutes to talk, and she can maybe take one question. She's coming in between events. So about 7:45, when she comes in, we'll have that 10 minutes, and then we will, any other candidates left or any other business left, we can take that up. So Stephen, do you want to, I know you have a couple of announcements from your organization.
Just real quick, because I don't want to take up too much time. I know we have a lot of great candidates to hear from today. First, if nobody's heard this, I wanted to announce that Lena Hidalgo just announced that in Harris County, we hit 50% of the 2016 numbers in Harris County today. So that's a really good start for early voting. And let's try and keep up that momentum. Barbara asked me to announce a couple things for the Texas Democratic Lawyers Association, and that is they are looking for volunteers, especially lawyers and good problem solvers, to volunteer for the early ballot board, early vote ballot board. They're also looking for poll watchers. We don't really have these needs very greatly in Harris County, but they need them desperately in Laredo, Cameron, and Hidalgo County, I'm told. So if y'all have colleagues, or if any of y'all out there listening are down in South Texas and want to volunteer, we need you. And I'll put the form up in the chat for how you can volunteer through Texas Democratic Lawyers Association. We are proud, Harris County Democratic Lawyers Association is proud to work with ART and Meyerland Dems. They always put on great programs, and we're happy to always partner with them. In addition to tonight's great program, we're partnering with them on a program that's going to benefit Sisters United Alliance. Those are voluntary donations we ask people to make. And we have 4 judicial candidates, and Gary Bledsoe is going to moderate that. That's going to be on October 29th, Thursday at 6:30 to 7:30. That was going to be our Clarence Darrow Award, but given COVID concerns, we decided that our plans to do an event even outside just weren't prudent at this time. So we've put off the Clarence Darrow Award presentation until next year. So I hope you can join Art and Gary and Sisters United Alliance and our 4 great candidates. I think we have at least 4 lined up for that on Thursday. And that's next Thursday. This Thursday, the 22nd at noon, we are proud to sponsor and introduce to everyone the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of the Texas Democratic Lawyers Association. And they have put together, or we have put together, a great CLE for them. And it's going to be the legacy of RBG. And we've got a recent RBG clerk, Katie Barber. I think she clerked for her a few years ago. And we've got UT Law Professor Elizabeth Sepper, and that's an hour of free CLE. That'll be this Thursday at noon. Barbara Radnowski is going to moderate that. I hope you can join us. Also, I think most of the candidates that are with us tonight, we did a CLE with a while back, and that video is up on our Facebook page. And if you missed it and you want an hour of CLE, or you want to hear more from these judges, you can go to our Facebook page where all our other videos are posted, and watch that. And I'll turn it over to you, Art. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Stephen. And that event Thursday is an important one to remember RBG, who we lost about a month ago, which a very tragic thing, as we all know about, and still are grieving over. So thank you again, Stephen, for that. So let me thank our judicial candidates who are here with us tonight, because we are talking about the courts and how critical it's going to be to retake our Texas courts this November. Super important that we do that, given what Trump has done with some of our federal court system. As you saw today, the Fifth Circuit Court has put back a new onerous rule on ballot signatures, mail ballot signatures. It's just ridiculous. So we need new blood on the court. And so we have with us tonight for the Texas Supreme Court, Amy Clark Meachum, Kathy Cheng, Staci Williams, Gisela Triana. Hey, Gisela. And for Texas Criminal Court, Elizabeth David Frizell, Tina Clinton, and Brandon Birmingham. So we're so happy we could get all of you together in one night to do this event, because it is so critical. And I feel personally that these races don't get quite the attention they deserve. And I think these races are the most likely ones we'll actually break through on statewide this fall. And we are currently voting, so super great time to do this event. So what we're going to do is we can have each candidate for, let's say, 5 minutes speak, talk about, their biography, talk about what they're going to bring to the court, what we can do to help you. We can take questions in the chat box if you make sure and click all attendees so we see it, or just to the panelists. We can take questions, let's say we do the Supreme Court candidates, take questions, and then, with the additional Texas Criminal Court candidates and take questions. So let's start with Amy Clark Meachum. I don't know. Oh, wait, she's not back yet. Sorry, she's not back yet. She told me she had a brief errand. So we will go back to Amy Clark. Kathy Cheng. Kathy, are you ready, or do you want me to move to somebody else while you're getting back home? Are you here? Oh, there you are.
I'm here. Switching over.
Yeah, you're always prepared, Kathy. You're always ready.
Hi, Art. Hi, Meyerland Dems. And thank you to HCDLA and TDLA for sponsoring this event tonight. Sorry, I'm a little long-winded. Just came back from polling place and rushing back home. But folks, my name is Kathy Cheng, proud candidate for Texas Supreme Court Place 6 for this coming election. I ran in 2018 and many of you supported me and I appreciate that, but we need to do something to finish up the race. As I travel across the state of Texas and recently and even today, the polling locations, it's looking good. It's not if we're going to win, it's how much more we're going to win. We're so close to the finish line, folks, in places that normally wouldn't have a lot of Democrats today in a lot of polling locations, especially in Fort Bend. We're looking at 5-1 from these voters out there, talking to them and so forth. So it's not about if, it's definitely going to be how much. By the time we finish across the finish line, the Republicans will be eating our dust. That's so get ready, folks. I'm a private practitioner out of the greater Houston area for 20 plus years. Done all kinds of cases that's usually the type of cases that would be heard by the Texas Supreme Court. For those of you who are not familiar with the Texas Supreme Court or the Court of Criminal Appeals, Texas Supreme Court is the highest civil court in the state of Texas, while we have the Court of Criminal Appeals, which is the highest criminal court in the state of Texas. This election, I'm sure I don't have to tell you all this, I'm preaching to a choir, but we have the opportunity to gain 4 wonderful seats on the Texas Supreme Court and 3 on the Court of Criminal Appeals. In history, we have the opportunity to elect the first female to the Chief Justice position, Judge Amy Clark Meachum. We have the opportunity to select the first African-American female to the Texas Supreme Court, Judge Staci Williams. The opportunity to elect the first Latina Democrat to the Texas Supreme Court, who has served in every lower court in the state of Texas, and then the first Asian American on the Texas Supreme Court, yours truly, Kathy Cheng, Cheng for Change. And then on the Court of Criminal Appeals side, we have the opportunity to elect the first African American female to the Court of Criminal Appeals, Judge Elizabeth Frizell. We have the opportunity to elect the first Asian American to the Court of Criminal Appeals, Judge Tina Clinton. And the opportunity to elect the first Caucasian male who's so lucky enough to be on the ballot with 6 wonderful, viable, independent women on the ballot this election. So folks, it's not just about the White House, it's not just about the congressional seats and the legislative state, it's about the courthouse. We have the opportunity to add a new phrase to the state of Texas. When people talk about Texas, it's no longer just about remember the Alamo. It's no longer just about remember 2018. It's going to be look at what happened in 2020. Republicans were cremated in the battle. There were no standing Republicans around. I told you the story in 2018 and we won the battle across the board, well, with the exception of the statewide. But this battlefield, when you hear the resounding sound of the, there's going to be no Republicans standing around. I'm telling you, folks, if you voted, take at least 15 more people to the polls. If you haven't voted, take 20 people to the polls because you waited this long to go and vote. Let me tell you, do not miss this opportunity, because on November 4th, when you wake up, you want to say, I was part of the movement and I made it happen. We took back the White House, we took back the Legislative House, and we took back the courthouse. Thank you so much. And next to Judge Amy Meachum, you're back. Go ahead, all yours.
All right, thank you. I hate this. I never have to go after Kathy, and now I have to go after Kathy, and now I know how Judge Staci Williams feels, because it's just, she pumps everybody up, she gets everybody excited, she brays like a donkey, for goodness sakes, and now I have to go. Well, thank you so much, Meyerland area Dems. I'm so glad to be with y'all tonight. Thanks, Art, for setting this up. I know so many of you guys have already voted, because these are the people who are so fired up that I know you're already out there standing in the lines and getting your friends and family to the polls. But my name is Judge Amy Clark Meachum. I am honored and proud and excited to be your Democratic nominee for Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court. And because it may be one of our last Zooms together for the last 6 months of doing this, I am honored and proud, and don't want to forget to acknowledge all 6 of these candidates who it has been a pleasure to run with, a pleasure to listen to and campaign with night after night on Zoom, to make sure that we bring back fairness, common sense, and balance to these two highest courts that are currently all Republican. And I'm going to tell you, based on what you guys are doing in Harris County, I think we can do this. It's amazing to see it happening at the level, the excitement of voting in Harris County, the excitement of voting all around the state. I somehow waited a week because I was working last week and took this week off and managed to hold back to vote today, and didn't go the first week. But today was super exciting too. Lines still to vote in Travis County today, waiting to vote, exercising this fundamental right, and so happy and committed and resolute to be there, having this opportunity to exercise their voting right and their power after 4 years of some of the most difficult times that our democracy has seen. So what I want us all to do these next 2 weeks is harness that feeling that we've had for the last 4 years and make sure that we leave no stone unturned, that we leave no voter uncontacted, that we leave no lit undropped, that we do it all these last 2 weeks, because we are closer than we have ever been. And we can do it, and we can do it together. You guys are the lifeblood of this movement and this moment, and we appreciate everything you're doing. I know that you're laying it all on the line, and these ladies and gentlemen, we could not be more grateful. And we promise that when we win these seats on November 3rd, we will commit ourselves to fairness, to equal justice under law, and making sure these courts hear every voice, every emotion that you guys are feeling. These courts need to understand that this is our moment to bring back fairness to the people. And that's what we want to do. So thank you for having us here. Thanks to my fellow candidates for campaigning with me these last 6 months. It's been great, guys. And I am proud to be with you and standing with you on the ballot. And I want to see us win on November 3rd, and I believe we can do it. So thank you for everybody here. Thank you to everybody on the call. And we appreciate you. Thank you, Art.
No problem, Amy. No problem. Judge Staci Williams is up. How are you,
Great.
Staci?
Hi, everyone. I'm here in Dallas, and I'm very excited to say that we're getting the same large results in Dallas County. I visited many polls today, and everyone was peaceful, purposeful, and they're ready for change. You can feel it in the air, and I think that's why, at least they're airing in Dallas County, some of Governor Abbott's advertisements, and he's trying to tie us to all the rioting, and but people are tired of that. They want justice and fairness back on the Texas Supreme Court. They want individuals who are going to look at the issues and not just toy the line of a political party. So I really feel as though that we have really got a very good chance, and we've got some of the best candidates for the Texas Supreme Court as well as the Court of Criminal Appeals. I am Judge Staci with an I Williams, and I am the proud Democratic nominee for place 7. I know all of you know that the number 7 or the number 8, any of the numbers, it's just a seat number. It doesn't restrict us to a geographic region, which is why we've all traveled the state, not only for the general election, but also during the primary. It has been a very long journey, but I'm convinced this journey was worth it. And I think the voters, because there's record turnout, the voters recognize this is a journey for change, and they've got change agents, not only at the top of the ticket, but all the way down the ticket. And I can only say vote blue all the way through. Even if you don't know who that D is, we can't know everyone. We don't have the money to send out 1 million flyers. That D by that person's name is going to be a vote for change. And this country needs it. Our democracy needs it, and our state. Just quickly about my qualifications. I'm a 2-term district court judge in Dallas, handling the same issues: oil and gas, real estate, personal injury issues. I've been in a decision-making role for many years. I've been an administrative judge for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, a municipal court judge for the city of Dallas, and an arbitrator for DART, the U.S. Postal Service, NASDAQ, FINRA, Washington Metropolitan Airport Board. And it's just that same diverse experience why the Houston Chronicle endorsed me over my incumbent, who's been at the Texas Supreme Court for 7 years. They're tired of it. He got there because of his political connections. He was Rick Perry's chief of staff and got the call to sit on the Texas Supreme Court. It never sat as a judge, never sat as a decision maker, had never been trained by either the Texas Municipal Courts Association like I've been, hasn't been trained by the District Courts Association, and never stepped foot in the National Judicial College in Reno, Nevada. And I think the citizens of Texas are realizing we need experience. We need folks who are just not politically connected. I'm a native Texan. I'm a graduate of Georgetown University Law Center, Washington, D.C., Smith College with a degree in economics, and the Hockaday School. And I'm just going to close with a program that really gives me passion to be a judge and a passion to be on the Texas Supreme Court. I created a program called the Citizen Civil Academy, which is a free nonpartisan program to educate citizens about the civil court process. We've educated over 350 citizens ranging in age from 7 to 92. I pay for this program with my campaign funds, and we need to take this education statewide. I hope as a Supreme Court Justice, my 3 other colleagues and the rest of the colleagues on the Supreme Court will support and ensuring that this program gets to the people of Texas so that they know that we really do care about them and this is a system of theirs. So with that, again, I am Judge Staci Williams for the Texas Supreme Court. I know this will be the last time I'll see most of my cohorts running. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful ride and hope to see you on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Williams, very much for your assessment there and your wonderful biography as well. It's just amazing. So thank you. We have one more on Supreme Court, Gisela Triana.
Hey, Art.
Hey, how are you?
It's so good to be with y'all tonight. Thank y'all so much to the Maryland area Democrats for all your hard work. I cannot tell you how proud I am of everybody in Harris County, you know, particularly, of course, Chris Hollins and everything he is doing to make sure that people are getting to vote. He is doing yeoman's work with everything that the Supreme Court is throwing at him, with everything that Greg Abbott is throwing at him, with everything that Ken Paxton is throwing at him. He is doing, the numbers out of Harris County is just making us all so extremely proud. So thank y'all so much for the job that y'all are doing there. And you are so right, Art. You were talking about, you know, the latest court, which is a federal court, which is now going to make it harder, you know, to vote by mail, making sure that the signatures, you know, are exactly the same, not giving people an ability, even if, you know, there's something wrong and their ballots being thrown out, to come in and fix it, taking away that vote from them. We have seen this ever since March. We have seen the Supreme Court decide that we could not vote by mail, all of us, even though we all know that, you know, we are not immune to COVID, even though they had doctors that testified in that case that said, you know, we shouldn't be forcing people to go to the polls. We saw that the Supreme Court did that. And of course they did it, I don't have to remind you, through Zoom. They voted like we are here today. They have closed our courthouses till December 1st, where we have no jury trials in our courthouses till December 1st, because we know how dangerous, and they know how dangerous the pandemic is. But they refuse to protect voters. Everything that they've done, we need to change that. And that just shows you what happens when 7 out of the 8 judges on the Texas Supreme Court have been appointed by either Greg Abbott or Rick Perry. They are putting politics over people at a time when we should be encouraging civic engagement, civic participation, when it is so important that we should have people more involved in voting. This Supreme Court is trying to make it harder. And the good news about that is that they're seeing the same thing we are. They're feeling the same heat that we are, which people are upset, people want to change, people want to vote them out. And they are trying to stay in power with every ounce of energy that they have. They are clawing with their fingernails to try to stay in power. But we're going to change that. We're going to change that. We're going to have 4 seats on the Supreme Court. We're going to have 3 seats on the Court of Criminal Appeals. That's going to bring some much needed criminal reform to criminal justice. And we're going to make you proud. We're going to be proud again to be Texans in a state that values people's rights, in a state that values fairness and justice above political expediency or above corporations or insurance companies. So thank you so much. Justice is on the ballot, if you haven't figured out this year. Democracy is on the ballot. Voters' rights, all of these things are on the ballot. And that's why it is so important that we make sure all of our friends, all of our neighbors, all of our family members have gone to vote, because this is the most important election of our lifetime. And we have to take our courts back. So don't stop at the top. Don't just, let's not just focus on the White House and the State House, but let's make sure that we bring it all home and we bring justice for Texans. Thank you. I'm Gisela Triana. I'm a justice on the third court, running and the proud nominee for the Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court in Place 8.
Thank you, Gisela, for that, for your comments and your story and everything. I think it'll help bring some focus to these critical races that are being overlooked. And look, if they weren't nervous about it, they wouldn't be running these TV ads. They are, such as Judge, some of your opponents are on TV right now running ads, which is unheard of in Texas, which we haven't seen in a long time, right, happen. So they're clearly very worried. They're very worried. We have a few questions. I don't know which one of you wants to answer a few of these questions. One was on eviction bans. What the question I have here is, will eviction bans be banned as unconstitutional, taking of property rights without due process? Anybody have any comment on that question or an answer to it? I don't know if you can even answer it, but so
okay.
let's have somebody else. Maybe Gisela, we'll put you up for it. How about that? No?
Okay, so tell me again, is the question whether the eviction ban is unconstitutional?
It was, I've got it right here. Will the oh man, okay, yeah, it's on, will eviction bans be banned as unconstitutional, taking of property rights without due process? Okay,
so first of all, I'll remind people that we cannot discuss any type of case that might actually come in front of us. So I don't want to specifically talk about that, but I do want to talk about general legal concepts. For example, the eviction ban, it is a temporary eviction ban. It doesn't mean that somebody doesn't owe you the money. It just means that you can't temporarily evict them. And I'll remind you that that hasn't come from the Supreme Court. That's actually come from the CDC, saying that as a matter of public health, people should not be evicted. Particularly in Houston, you've seen, if you've been reading the Houston Chronicle, there are people who are being evicted who have COVID-19. And so at a time where they need to quarantine, they're being evicted from their houses. The other thing I'd like to talk about is, under the CARES Act, and hopefully if the Congress can get their act together and give another, stimulus bill, part of the CARES Act money went to landlords. The idea that, it's not, let's just protect the tenants, but I think that it's clear that the landlords have to be protected too. They've got mortgages that need to be paid. And so the idea is that the stimulus money from the federal government to help not only the tenants, but the landlords as well. But as to whether it's going to be held unconstitutional, we can't speak to that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, but good to hear that. Good to hear that. Any other questions here in the chat before we move to our next set of candidates? I'm just scrolling through to make sure we don't want to miss anybody, because Lord knows I might. I see one new. Oh yeah, this is. Are the judicial candidates aware of the GOP and its cohorts assembling a committee to change the way judges are elected, selected in Texas? I heard about this too. Does anybody want to elaborate on that? Is that a proposal that they're going to try to push?
It's actually a committee, and they report back in December of this year. They've been, it's a committee that's made up of not only prior justices, but also lawyers, but also state representatives. It's a very cross-section of people. They have taken testimony not only from large organizations like the NAACP, but from even out of state organizations that have research regarding appointment versus elections, and they have taken testimony from various regions of Texas. Just on October the 6th, they took testimony from the Dallas area, and the group will compile a recommendation, if any, and they will report it back to the governor and the state ledge. But again, they can't change the laws without it going toward a constitutional amendment. So just so that you're aware, they are reporting back in December of 2020 is my understanding.
Well, and to add a little bit of why we're where we're at. So they're wanting to, take, first of all, the commission was appointed, the people to the commission, even though they're cross-section, were appointed by Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, and the Speaker of the House. So it is heavily appointed by Republicans that are in power. The reason that Abbott has decided and wants to look at this particular time in our history, they've been in power for over 22 years. Both courts have been Republican, but I don't have to remind you, Art, what happened in 2018 in Harris County, both of your courts, in Travis County and our third court of appeals. We all of a sudden, and in Dallas County in the 5th, we all of a sudden had Democrats that won those courts. And part of the problem is we go back to the same thing. They don't want to give power. They don't want to give up their power and let the voters decide. I would argue very much that if we were in a appointed, especially a gubernatorial appointment system, we would not have Black Girl Magic in Harris County. I would not be on the third court of appeals. And I know that nobody's going to be giving me an appointment to the Supreme Court. So the faces, if you look at what the people look like, if you look at, when we're talking about, like Kathy said, we're having the first female Chief Justice, we're having the first Asian American, we're having the first, African American woman, that would never happen under the system that we have now. So it's a valid question. They're wanting to study it, but let's not forget the reason that they're wanting to study it right now, not 10 years ago when they were, winning the elections, not 10 years ago when it was all Republican.
Right. Okay. Yeah, this is, and that's why we need a legislature and all these other things. It's critically important. Okay, well, that's good to know. This is good information to know. So let's, if we don't have any more questions, which I don't think we do, I just scrolled through. Let's, okay, yeah. So let's move to our other judicial candidates who are running statewide. And Cheryl Ariel Thornton, I know I see you here. You're running here in Harris County. Do you want to take a quick 15 seconds or 30 seconds or something while we move to the next part of the program? I see several others here too. Maybe we can fit them at the end, such as Judge Hall is here, Judge Frederica Phillips. We can make them panelists. I don't know if Mike Inglehart is still here, but Harold, if you could check if we can do that, we'd appreciate it in the meantime. Okay, Cheryl, go.
Thank you. 30 seconds. I'm Cheryl Elliott. And I want to thank you all again for organizing and informing the public that we are here. I'm running for the 164th Judicial District Court. You'll hear more from me on October 29th. But again, thank you so much for organizing this, and thank you statewide judicial candidates. We love you. And yes, I'm one of those down ballot people that I hope that you're pulling up. Thank you. Cheryl Elliott Thornton for the 164.
Thank you, Cheryl. So let's keep moving here. While we look at these into these other candidates so that they can pop in real quick. So let's move to our 3 Texas Criminal Court appeals candidates. We have Elizabeth Davis Frizell. I see Elizabeth. Tina Clinton and Brandon Birmingham. So Elizabeth, do you want to come on up and talk a little bit about your biography and what you're running to do?
Sure. Thank you so much, Art. I'm Elizabeth Davis Frizell, and I'm running for Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3. And it's such an honor to be the Democratic nominee running with such a wonderful slate of candidates. Everyone is just so well qualified. And I want you to know, when you're voting for the Democratic slate, you are voting for the most qualified candidates. I know you've probably heard vote all the way up and all the way down the ballot, and I've been telling people that. You've probably been telling other people that. But I hope you realize that when you're doing that, you're not just voting Democrat to vote Democrat. You're voting for, one, the most qualified candidates, two, the most diverse candidates, and three, the candidates that have been in the trenches, trying cases, presiding over cases. So when we get to these highest courts and we're reviewing transcripts, we're reviewing briefs, we understand how those cases got there because we've been the lawyer who's tried those cases, whether on the prosecutor's side or the defense side. We've been the judge who's presided over those cases. And now we will be grading the papers of the appellate court judges and the trial judges to make sure they got it right. And that's so critically important because all of these seats are occupied by Republicans. And it has been for the past 22 years. And quite often what I see happening is a pattern where those Republicans haven't been in the trenches. They haven't all been trial court judges. They haven't all been trial lawyers where they understand the split-second decisions that have to be made as a trial court judge, the objections, how you should rule on those, whether it's proper or not to admit evidence, because they haven't been in those positions. When we get there, we care about the people who are in front of us as judges now, and we care about the people who are in front of the trial court judges throughout the state of Texas, whose papers we will be grading. We're for fairness and justice. Too often as a judge, I've seen people get a better shake if they have money and not get such a fair shake in our criminal justice system if they don't. We've got to change that, and now we have that opportunity. Just a little bit about my credentials. I've been practicing criminal law for the past 27 years. I've been a judge for 20 of those years on every level other than the appellate level. I started as a municipal court judge. I've been a county criminal court judge, a criminal district court judge, presiding over all types of cases from assault to rape, robbery, murder. Before I ever ran for an elected position, I was in private practice for 13 years as a defense lawyer, trying every type of case: rape, robbery, murder, arson, sexual assault. I wanted to make sure I was prepared for this moment, not knowing I'd ever be here. I really became a trial lawyer because I saw so many injustices in the system. And I wanted to make it more fair, at least for the clients that I represented, because too often I saw defense lawyers that weren't zealously representing their client. Very seldom did I see prosecutors that weren't zealously representing for their side. But I did see that on the other side, so I wanted to make it more fair. Then I became a judge to make it more fair for everybody in my courtroom. And now I'm running for the highest criminal court in the state of Texas. We have direct appeal on death penalty cases. I want to make sure that no one is in the penitentiary for an offense they didn't commit. And I know for a fact there are people still there right now. I can name them, but I won't because I might be the judge to hear that case. But there are people in the penitentiary right now for death penalty cases for offenses they may not have committed. And for offenses less than that, for 60 years, for 40 years. I also want to make sure this justice system is more fair so that there's not disparate sentencing. And all that means is you get death when you should have gotten life. You get life when it should have been 60. You get 60 when it should have been 20. Or you get 20 when it really was a probation case. You see, when we're reviewing those trial court judges, because we've been trial court judges, we know when they get it right and when they get it wrong. That is why I'm running. And let me just tell you this, I ran for the first time in 2002 in Dallas. And when you guys were asking that last question about elected judges versus appointed, in 1998 in Dallas, there were no local Democrats to vote for, not one. Everyone on the ballot locally was a Republican. And I kept wondering, why is it that in Dallas, we can't even choose to vote for a Democrat? Because nobody would run as a Democrat because they didn't think they were going to win. That was back when it was George Bush country. It's a little different now. So I said, well, you know, we got to change this. So I just launched and ran in 2002. And I had 13 of my colleagues with me who felt the same way. We didn't win that year, but we got 48%. And then we ran again in 06, and every last one of us won in 06. We turned Dallas blue. We're going to do the same thing in the state of Texas. November 3rd, we're turning Texas blue. This time I have 6 of my colleagues with me. Please help us on this journey to turn Texas blue. We can do it. We're within the margin. It felt so good to go out and vote the first day of early voting, October the 13th. But look, if you've already voted, as I close, would you do this for us? Would you please tell 10 people who haven't voted to please go out and vote? And even if they have, tell them to tell 10 people to go out and vote. That's how close this is going to be. And you don't want to wake up November 4th and think, man, if I'd done just a little bit more to get out that vote, maybe we could win. We're going to win this with your help. Elizabeth Frizell for Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, place 3.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth, so much. I don't recall meeting in person, but I'm glad we're meeting tonight finally. I've heard so much about you, so I'm glad we're finally talking to
Thank
each
you,
other.
Art.
Oh yeah, no problem. I know we've been in touch in the past, but it's exciting to talk to you tonight, Elizabeth. So thank you so much. We have here Tina Clinton. Here, Tina Clinton is here. Judge Tina Clinton, sorry. Judge Tina Clinton from Dallas County. Take it away, Tina.
Thank you
Judge
so much.
Clinton.
I am so appreciative that we are ending our Zoom career for general election of 2020 in the juggernaut that is Houston. I think it's very fitting that this is where the last time that the 7 of us appear together happens to be. I am very appreciative to Maryland Democrats as well as TDLA and HDLA. Thank you so much for having us, leadership at the polls, and the work that you are doing to protect every vote of everyone in this area. I do want to give you just a really fast, brief rundown. As my colleagues have stated, when you vote for Democrats, you vote for the most qualified person on the ballot. I have 14 years experience as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. I've worked at the state and federal levels as a defense attorney. I have 15 years on the bench as a trial court judge, as a municipal court judge, a county criminal court judge, and as a state felony criminal district court judge. I'm a 3-term elected Democrat, and I'm honored to be your Democratic nominee for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, place 4. I've tried 400 cases as a lawyer and as a judge. That's 400 times that I have looked at cases from all the way from a pro se defendant talking about a misdemeanor all the way to a capital murder case. As my colleagues have told you, this experience is crucial because it gives us an eye into not only what we are supposed to be reviewing, but it gives us intimate knowledge of what's going on in a courtroom. Our opponents lack that experience. They lack the understanding of what it means to be in every position that a lawyer can be in inside of a courtroom. So it's like as if you would like to have someone teaching surgeons how to do surgery, but yet they've never really been in a surgery room. They've just read about it. That's really the equivalency. And that's really not what you want for your highest courts. You want people with experience that have risen all the way through the ranks. And that's what you get when you elect Democrats. There's also another couple of key pivotal issues that I'd like to raise. In America, there's been 2,673 people that have been exonerated since 1989. They have spent cumulatively 23,950 years in prison for crimes they have not committed. 435 of those cases belong to Texas. That is only since 1994. And that's because our jurisprudence in this area, our law about actual innocence, only goes to 1994. There is a faction of the Court of Criminal Appeals who would like to do away with actual innocence, that they philosophically do not believe that actual innocence is a thing or a true thing. And there's no doubt when they also don't believe in science. And why do I say that? Because when the Supreme Court looked at a case like State of Texas versus Bobby Moore, which is from this Harris County area, and the Supreme Court looked at it twice, and they wrote, one of the things that they said was that this court failed to understand the scientific rubric of intellectual disabilities in order to do the job that they were tasked to do. And you have a court that fails in every single way. Not only do they respect science, not only do they not do their homework, but they don't have respect for humanity inside of their court. And the basic fundamental tenet of a courtroom that we all believe in, which is the search for truth, is one that they put behind a judicial philosophy. That doesn't get you justice, nor does it get you fairness in any courtroom. And that goes from the highest court. How do you think that infects the lower courts? We can't have justice and fairness in Texas until we wipe out that philosophy. And the only way to wipe it out is by you making sure that you vote us in. Because if you don't vote us in, if we don't do everything that we can to take all 7 of these courts, you know, because you see what happened on the federal level, it emboldens them. It makes them think that they have all power, and then they start going, frankly, nuts like they did up in the White House. And we know that. We have lost a generation of federal courts, a generation because of Trump. The only chance that we have of protecting rights for you, your family, and your grandchildren is to make sure that we take these state courts and hold on tight. It doesn't matter how much ahead we think we are. Until we push these votes to the furthest limit and win by the largest margins that we can, we are not done. Because we not only want to win, we want to send a mandate in this state that this is not what justice looks like in Texas. So whether you voted or not, we still have work to do. We have to get out every vote that we can. And when we win, we want there to be no doubt what Texans believe that these courts are capable of and what they have not been doing, which is serving us. Thank you. My name is Tina Clinton, and I'm honored to be your Democratic nominee.
Thank you so much, Tina. I see we have MJ Hegar here, and I know you're tight for time, MJ. I'd like to introduce MJ Hegar here so she can get started. Thank you for making the effort tonight, MJ, to come in. You're one of certainly the IT candidates right now in the country. Of course, everybody here is an IT candidate, but but you know, right now you're on my TV a whole lot, and so I'm very proud to know you, MJ, and the journey we've taken together, you and I, and this is so special to have you with us tonight. So MJ, tell us what's going on in the campaign trail, and what else can we do for you in these final days?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And thank you, Tina. I was just talking about your race and all of our amazing judicial candidates. And you know what sucks, Art, is that I am one of the IT candidates because frankly, the lower down the ballot, the race, simultaneously, the higher the chance that when you walk into the ballot box, you don't know as much about the candidate. And the lower down the ballot on the race or on the ballot, the race that's lower down the ballot will have a more direct impact on your life. Literally, the lower it gets, the more direct impact on your life. And so I've been, trying to encourage people to do research, to walk in and make sure they're voting the entire ballot. Thank y'all so much for running for office, and for volunteers that are out there or Maryland Dems. First of all, I'm going to be in Harris County this weekend, so hopefully I'll get to see y'all at some of the stops we're making. But when you're talking to folks, don't just encourage them to vote, encourage them to walk in empowered with information. And some of these races, the more local races, don't have party affiliations next to them. We've got to do better in helping people get informed. I was just, trying to search for like sample ballots and stuff. And I promise this is something we're going to get better with. But we've already gotten better by leaps and bounds too. And I got to say, I don't know how many of y'all watched football. I feel very much like we came into a really important football game, very much the underdogs, and have just been persistently moving the ball down the field. And now it's like the minutes are ticking down on the clock. We've got basically, a couple snaps left in us, or maybe it's 4th and goal, and we are going to go for it, because the important thing is we've been moving down the field. And y'all have been supporting, and y'all have been working a year and a half ago when nobody else was paying attention, right? So James Tallarico just said he's my favorite house. He's my state rep. And he just said, politics are like the Olympics. Olympic athletes think that everybody is thinking about them and all the time, but there's so much work going on behind the scenes, and then people only pay attention during the games. And that's kind of how politics are. So thank y'all for putting all the work in that has gotten us down the field, so that now that people are looking and paying attention, we're able to get some big old linebacker behind us and just scoop up the whole dog pile and push us over the goal line into the end zone, y'all. I am so excited. I am equal parts exhausted and exhilarated. I am exhausted because we have been everywhere. I am exhilarated because what we're seeing everywhere, these record turnout, long lines, people waiting in lines. One thing that's not getting captured by the polls, that's right, Jude, thank you. one thing that's not getting captured by the polls is, one thing they don't ask is, okay, great, who are you voting for? But how excited are you to vote for that person? That enthusiasm level, how likely are you to stand in a line for 2 hours? And so it's great, although the bad thing is that the news is getting out that the lines are long, and that's suppressing some people's votes, especially older people or disabled people, and getting information out about, curbside voting and things like that is so important. So it's really exciting, y'all. And I am going to do everything I can to accept being one of the hot, ticket items right now. I'm going on CNN tonight. I think my hit time's like 10:20, something like that. So tune in if you're still up. But I'm really trying to bring attention to one thing that I want to tell y'all before I get off. And that is, you've probably heard me say this before, but it bears repeating. Texas is the key. And the down ballot candidates are the key to Texas. Okay. But Texas is the key this cycle to not just winning elections, not just delivering the White House and the Senate majority, but healing the nation. They've been suppressing our votes for so long. We have so little vote by mail. We are one of only 6 states that doesn't have like widespread vote by mail in the middle of this pandemic. We were, one of only a handful before too, but a lot of states have relaxed their restrictions in the face of COVID, and we still haven't. Of the 6 states that have not relaxed restrictions in COVID, we've got the most electoral votes, and there's no mathematical path to victory for this president if he loses Texas. So because we don't have vote by mail, largely, we'll have an early presidential election result, while a lot of states are counting their vote by mail ballots. And because we don't have largely vote by mail, we don't have an electoral result that can be challenged by some kind of vote by mail electoral fraud conspiracy theory. So if we want to take the wind out of the sails of any civil unrest or any judicial challenges or anything like that, Texas is where it's at. The country is realizing that. I am excited to be a part of this amazing slate of candidates. We are working our tails off out there for y'all. And I know y'all are out there working your tails off for us. We're in this together. We're on the same team. We are going to have so much to celebrate in November. We can sleep after the election, right? And I'm so proud to be on this ticket with y'all. Thank you for all the work that's been done when nobody was watching, because it has given us this opportunity to actually deliver immigration reform, gun safety legislation, healthcare, all the things that we have been fighting for so long. Hang in there with us, y'all. We got 15 days left, and we're going to have so much to celebrate in November. Thank you so much. Take care. Stay safe. Stay out there fighting. Fight for those down ballot candidates, and I'll see you guys this weekend. Take care.
Thank you so much, MJ. Thanks again for stopping by. So yes, I've been alerted that our stream is not showing on our Facebook page. We will load this video on our page right after this event, so you can see it on Facebook. We had a technical glitch there. So anyway, let's continue with our candidates here. We have 2 more left for sure, including, well, actually, no, Brandon, you're the last of the statewide judicials. So go for it.
Well, yes, sir. Again, my name is Brandon Birmingham, like the city, and I am last because I'll be last on your ballot as the statewide candidates go. You'll start with Joe Biden, you'll hit MJ Hegar, you'll hit Krista Castaneda, then Amy Clark Meachum and Staci Williams, Gisela Triana, Kathy Cheng, Tina Clinton, Elizabeth Frizell, and then you'll see my name. It's longer than all of them, but that's pretty much the only thing that I got on them. They're an amazing slate. It is an extraordinary journey that we've been on. I've gotten to know them personally. I knew some of them personally before, but I knew all of them by their reputation. But now that I know them personally, and I know their reputation, and I know their qualifications, just as a guy who lives in Dallas and a Texan his whole life, and this is where I'm going to die, I'm so proud that this is the potential future of our 2 highest courts. And when you think about what's the biggest separator between us and them, I think it's just that basically we have everybody's best interests at our hearts. And that's how we've practiced. That's how we've ruled, those of us who've been on the bench. And that's how we're going to do it once we get elected. I am, let's see, how do I say this? you know, having practiced in criminal courts for the last 20 years, that's the only place that I've been. That's the only place that I've spent my time. Every working day, I've been in a criminal trial somewhere or another. And I've seen how some of these decisions are shameful. Some of them are very, very popular and very shameful. You know, the courthouse that got shut down at 5 o'clock because they didn't want to hear a last minute appeal, the lawyer that slept through the trial, and that was okay. Everybody heard about that. Most people have heard that the Supreme Court still continues to reverse the Court of Criminal Appeals because they're so rigid and inflexible in the way that they cling on to outdated scientific theories, basically. And they're not even scientific. I guess they're just judicial theories. But that's poisoned so many cases. And I've seen that. I've seen how the DNA exonerations have uncovered some systemic problems, racism, how they've uncovered access to justice as a contributor to wrongful convictions. And I am convinced, I agree 100% with Judge Frizell. Maybe I'll just state it a different way, but I am convinced that if you all elect us, that there will be people who are in prison right now who should not be there and will be free because we have an adherence to seeking the truth as opposed to deferring to finality of outcome, finality of judgment. The court seems to be obsessed with that idea, and we're not. I'm not. We are obsessed with the idea of uncovering the truth. Sometimes they're so quick to finalize a judgment when the truth doesn't always reveal itself so quickly. And when you get right down to it, I think we all stand for this proposition. Everybody in criminal cases should be judged by two things: the facts as they're freely and fairly developed, no matter how long it takes, because the truth of those facts needs to come out, number one. And number two, that the law should be applied as written, fairly and equally, so that the truth comes out in every single case. Not those two things and only those two things, not race, not gender, not access to courts, not who you know, not political connections, not any of that other nonsense. All that stuff has crept into the equation because it's been allowed to by those that have been in power of our courts over the last 25 years. And we're here to fix that. If you remember my name, that'll be great. And it's a hard one to pronounce, I know. But here's the thing, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to remember my name. Yeah, as long as you remember to vote D all the way down the ballot, from the top to the bottom, from the White House to the courthouse to the schoolhouse. Maybe you want to do as my friend Kathy Cheng says and start from the bottom and vote all the way up top. That way you'll be sure to click on everybody. But you just keep pushing D, because every time you do, you're taking us 1 yard closer. As MJ Hegar, my future senator and your future senator says, it's like a yard. And every time you punch on it, it's 1 yard closer to the goal line. Take some friends with you. Take people that you care about with you. This is a powerful group. These are the leaders in criminal defense around. You have people that you care about, that you are looking to you for guidance. Don't just tell them. Take them. Show them where to vote. Show them how to vote. Take them to the polls. Every time you do, you're getting us 1 inch, 1 step, 1 yard closer to the goal line. So again, my name is Brandon Birmingham. It is an honor and a pleasure to be your Democratic nominee for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals Place 9. Your humble public servant here, and I aspire to be one of 9 new humble public servants in Austin and in Washington, D.C. Thank you all very much, and thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Brandon, so much for your, that was just a great presentation from you. I'm so happy to have voted for all of you. So I've been there, done that. So this is just great. I see, are there any questions for our 3 Texas Criminal Court judge candidates here real quick? You can put it in the chat box. Otherwise, I'm going to move to these few other county-wide judge candidates who were not able to speak at our last meeting, which was really fun. We had quite a bit of candidates and my power went out, so it was really interesting. So Frederica, you're up.
Did you say me?
I said you.
All right. Thank you, Art. Thank you, Maryland Dev. Thank you, Harris County Democratic lawyers, for putting on this forum. It's always a pleasure to speak to you all. Always a great pleasure to see all of our wonderful statewide candidates. I am Frederica Phillips. I'm running for re-election for judge of the 61st Civil District Court in Harris County. And we have, you know, I think the Democratic lawyers can tell you, they can see the difference when we have Democratic judges and judges that represent the county, that look like the county they represent. I think the statewide have already said, you know, we are all qualified. I was a 17-year lawyer before I became a judge. So not only are we a diverse group, but we're also a qualified group, and we all believe in fairness and equal justice for everyone. So what I'm going to just reiterate and just be real brief, just say, it is great that we have the turnout numbers that we've been having in Texas. I am excited about people going to the polls, but I'm not going to get complacent. You know, we still have to go every day and tell everyone you know to go vote every day, every single day until 7 o'clock, November 3rd. You've got to pull somebody and say, come vote and vote the whole ballot. Vote for every Democrat on the ballot. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Phillips. You and I go back a long time. Always good to see you virtually, at least. Judge Hall, are you here?
I'm here.
You're here.
No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens, nor deprive a person of life, liberty, or property without due process, or deny any person equal protection of the laws. I am so inspired that I went to my Constitution listening to these amazing statewide candidates and all of my colleagues on the bench. And I want to say something that I've tried to articulate carefully, and I pray that I am careful now. Structural diversity is a part of the requirement for the enforcement of all of the principles in due process. It's not just my Black skin, it is my career, 26 years as a sole practitioner. It's my 11 years on the municipal bench. It's the 3.5 years I've had the privilege to serve as a state judge. It's my choice to be a member of Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church. It's my time at Wellesley College as an undergraduate. It's my time as a DJ on the radio station at KTSU. All of the things in each of our backgrounds that we bring to the table ensure that we don't have only just one voice, one white, male, singular perspective, which is traditionally what our courts have had in Texas. So I thank you for the privilege of serving. I thank you for the wonderful, incredible backgrounds of all of these people. And I say bravo to Texas for helping us interpret the Constitution in ways that celebrate everybody and recognize our interdependence. None of us can do it alone. We have to do it together with science-based, evidence-based approaches that recognize civility matters, kindness matters, and thoughtfulness matters. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you. Thank you for all you do, Maryland Dems. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Ursula Hall. I don't know if I said that. I'm the incumbent judge of the 165th Civil District Court who could not figure out how to switch her video on this computer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge Hall. You and I go back a long time as well, so I always appreciate hearing you, at least hearing you. So thank you, Judge Hall. I want to wrap up with a bit of really good news here. I do see Michelle Palmer here as an attendee, but I do want to give her a shout out in her State Board of Education race. As I discussed at the very beginning, we have some additional dollars now for digital, and Michelle Palmer and our judicial candidates tonight will be recipient of that through our Facebook and Instagram. So good news for Michelle tonight. As well. So the really good news is I got a call from Congressman Al Green and as well from Senator Boris Miles. They are giving us approximately $2,000 additional dollars for Get Out the Vote to our organization. And we are going to spend it very well. It's going into our CJ Yeoman GOTV fund. And unless there's any objection, I'm going to authorize spending that funding for these judicial candidates here with us tonight, as well as Michelle Palmer. We would also like to give an additional $500 to Sisters United Alliance. It's critically important we turn out these registered women to vote. They've not been voting. We need to turn them out in our community. So unless there's an objection or anything in the chat, I'm going to move to approve that funding as well. That would be a historic amount of money total for us to spend, by the way. That will be almost $26,000 we will have spent on Get Out the Vote in these 48 precincts, which would include also the Texas Medical Center, Meyerland, Westbury, Maryland Estates. It would just give us tremendous capabilities. So yes, Cheryl, yes, I see no objection. Yes, so we're going to put additional funding. We can do so much more now. So we're very appreciative to Congressman Al Green and to Senator Boris Miles tonight for their confidence to cut us additional funding. So that's always good news. More funding for us so we can do more great work in Harris County. So unless there's anything else here before we close, I do hope we have a great Zoom party coming up in November. We've all worked so hard for this, and I've been with this organization for 17 years now. So since 2002, I've been its president. This is my 10th year as president. So I'm very proud of the work everyone is doing. We have spent literally so many years of our lives to get to this point. And like many of our candidates said tonight, including Amy Meachum and Kathy Cheng, you know, we're really on the precipice of a very historic moment in our history and in our state, as well as in our community. So it's a very powerful moment, and we're just 15 days away from achieving a landmark watershed achievement. So without any other objection, I'm going to move to end this meeting, and we will load this on Facebook in a little bit as well. So I know 17 years, yes, 17 years I'm getting in the chat box. 17 years since 2000. I walked in 2003. Little did I know what I'd be doing, huh? So thank all of you. And yes, thank you, Kathy Cheng, for your kind words and all of you tonight. So we will talk soon, hopefully in a very happy moment, right? So just 15 days away. So good night, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.